Hi, welcome to Popeye's House of Pain University. I'm Professor Popeye, the Dean of Mean. So sit down, shut the fuck up, and pay attention. Class is now in session. Today, we're going to talk about your constitutional rights and whether or not they're being violated at all. There's a couple of different things that have to be considered. First and foremost is whether or not your Constitution is the one signed by your founding fathers, or the second ratified constitution that was formed, basically ratified, what the proper term for it is, by the 41st Congress during the Act of 1871. Now, what we have to realize is the Act of 1871 created a for-profit municipal corporation. Well, first we have to realize that a for-profit corporation has one thing in mind: making profit. They have no obligation to us whatsoever. They're not here to serve and protect us. They're here to make a profit. So that in itself, you have to realize the Constitution that they're operating under is it's an administrative document. It's an administrative law. It's statutory law because, well, it's a corporation, and the only thing that corporations can deal with is other corporations. It can't deal with people, real people. We have to start realizing that there are differences here. And one of my podcasts in the future, I will cover the difference in the wording. And when you're referred to as a person, you are indeed referred to as a corporation. And I will be able to show you exactly where that is. In fact, if anybody wants to look it up now, look up Black's Law, fourth edition. And when you look at the definition, it's going to talk about includes corporations. Well, the word includes in law means it's exclusionary of all else. Anyway, so back to your Constitution and whether or not you're being violated. Since we just discussed that you have a Constitution that's for a corporation, it's corporate policy, it's corporate law, it doesn't apply. It doesn't apply to you if you're not part of the corporation. So when you bitch and moan that somebody's constitutional rights are being violated, your constitutional rights are being violated, yeah, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But let's just even go ahead and then say that, well, it is still the one signed and framed by the founding fathers. They just made a couple of minor adjustments. Okay, well, yeah, there's some issues there. When I go through some wording things on different statutes, codes, and so on, we'll go through the wording on the Constitution as well at that time. But just at this point, let's just keep in mind that this Constitution, the two Constitutions, one is for the municipal corporation, the other by the founding fathers. Now let's take this one in mind. It's a contract between you and your representatives and the government because it is supposed to be guidelines for them. And, well, let's just cover a couple of basic maxims real fast in terms of contractual law. First, there must be equal consideration, means both parties put in the same amount. There must be mutual benefit, which means both parties get equal amounts out. There must be full disclosure of all terms and conditions. And then, of course, finally, then at least two wedding signatures. Now, first, as we talked about, two wedding signatures. whom that ever signed it is still alive. Did you ever think about that? And whom that's alive has actually signed it. Hmm. Yeah, this is a little bit of a problem. If you're thinking in true contractual sense, and if you're thinking that you're being violated, how exactly are you being violated? If you're not a party to this contract, how exactly are you being violated? Now, I know a lot of people will say, well, it's an implied contract. Founding fathers signed it, and even though 41st Congress made some changes to it, it's still an implied contract, and we must abide by it, and or the government, as you say, must abide by it. Well, it's supposed to be for the government. It's not supposed to be for us, period. It's supposed to be for them. It's their guidelines by which they're supposed to live by, not us. With that in mind, since our representatives, our elected representatives, are the ones that are supposed to uphold it for us, and this is where our implied contract is supposed to extend down to us at some level in some form. First and foremost, how do I prove that I've elected anybody? It's a secret ballot. I have no way of proving when that little card goes into the little slot in the box in the ballot area, in the voting area, wherever it's at, the local school, the church, somebody's garage. How do I prove that I've got a contract with the guy that's now in office? I can't. How does the guy in office actually prove that he has a contract with me either? It's the same ballot that supposedly put him there. He can't prove it. That's a problem. That's a little bit of a problem. So when he's swearing to uphold that Constitution for you, how exactly do you prove that he's doing it for you? What about the people that didn't vote for him or her, if it happens to be a woman? Do they not have a contract then? Because if they didn't vote for him, if it's not somebody that they actually wanted, well, nobody would actually sign a contract in the outside world with a person that they didn't want. So how exactly, if that representative is for, say, District 39 or whatever, how do you prove it? And the other guys that don't vote for him, where do they stand actually? I mean, this is kind of a common sense. We just have to think about some of this stuff. Hmm, interesting. So are your rights being violated? Is the contract part of something that you're a party to? And how do you prove it?